A lot of people, Muslims of many ages, experience a phenomenon referred to as whisperings of Shaytan, in which they find themselves questioning the very basic or grounds or even tenets on which their Iman is built upon, on which their Deen rests upon. They find in themselves thoughts which are dangerous in the perspective of Islam, statements that are traducery in nature towards Islam and all of its aspects, including the Creator. And online da'wah have lied. They have exacerbated the problem. They claimed it was indicative of weak Iman and a hypocritical mind, and one wasn't doing his or her obligation well enough. And they have condemned those individuals to a life of high anxiety and ultimately leading to a life of kufr or even sometimes irtidad. But you see, questioning is different than thoughts that are evil in nature. Questioning is how you grow in Islam. Questioning is beneficial because it says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. You should ask the people of knowledge if you do not know. But the thoughts are the ones that are evil in nature, the ones that are bad intentional. Oftentimes, when an individual finds in themselves thoughts that are of this nature, this should call for a celebration. It should be celebrated. Because there was a time when a group of people came to the Prophet complaining of this exact same thing, and he said they had reached the peak of Iman. It was clear, pristine Iman, and they should congratulate themselves for having reached such an impressive point in their life. Shaytan has failed to get you physically, so he begins to wage war internally, where his weakness now becomes demonstrated day by day. In this short segment, I will answer some of the questions brought on by such thoughts, starting with the first. The number one question that is brought on by such thoughts as the first and foremost, and this has been in the mix for a very, very long time, ever since the inception of Islam. It is a really simple question and one that is always almost avoided by all scholars of Islam. Who created Allah? Now, this is an incredibly dangerous kind of question to ask because it can definitely remove you from the fold of Islam. But for the sake of the video, I'll have to concede. This question is a loaded question in which it assumes many things. The first is creation. We assume that as human beings, because we are created, therefore the Creator should definitely have a Creator himself. But let us extend that logic. Suppose Allah had a Creator. Let us call this Creator B. Then we would have asked, who created Creator B? Then we would have gone to Creator C, and then Creator D, Creator E, F, G, all the way until Z. And then we would have gone to A1, B1. Each time a new God will have to have created another one just to create another one, and then we have an infinite amount of gods creating each other so that they could create the universe. The very fact of the existence of the universe is testament to the fact that there can only be one, and he's uncreated. It doesn't make sense that he would be created, because other than he would have required another creator to create, and therefore dependent upon the other one. And this isn't the markings of a god. We come to the second question. Why is Islam the correct religion? Well, let us go to the other religions. We're going to start with Hinduism. If you look at Hinduism, there's more gods in Hinduism than there are atoms in the non-observable universe. There's different gods for different things, gods of chargers and books. And unless you are extremely enthusiastic about waking up to drink fresh cow lemonade each morning, I would suggest that you do not go there. Then we come to Judaism. In Judaism, it's a general belief that they are God's chosen people, and that God himself has chosen them over the whole of mankind, and because of their birth, the virtue of their birth, somehow they are more superior to the other creations. And they also believe that no one can convert to their religion, and that it's only exclusive to them. They also believe that their rabbis they wield considerable power over their God, and the rabbis themselves dictate the law. So essentially, divine law in the hands of a mortal. We go to Christianity. Christianity believes in three gods, that Jesus himself was a god, that you had to be sacrificed so that God himself could forgive mankind, and there had to be a blood sacrifice, and ergo all Christians are sinless. Therefore, any crime, any sin they commit was paid off by Jesus. Essentially, one man sacrificing for a huge amount of people. Then we go to the other lesser known religions such as Buddhism. And if you open any Buddhism book, even though they are adulated in the West and they are thought of to be some form of an unique and perfect religion, you would find verses of incredible violence, verses of complete disregard for women's rights, and kind of a traducery outlook on women. Then we go to the other religions, and you will find that they have stayed small for a particular reason. They are almost always polytheistic, and they include some very bizarre rituals. It is only Islam that encourages cleanliness. It is only Islam that encourages, and actually that is truly monotheistic if looked at from different angles. So you'd find that Islam is almost a true religion. Suppose we take the point of an atheist. The atheist himself believes that we came from nothing. Atheism says that there was nothing, boom, then there was something. Monkeys came from monkeys gave birth to humans, and humans themselves are today what they are. Essentially affirming that we were monkey. At some point we were monkey, and then under the full moon, actually not under the full moon, rather under the full watch of time, we evolved, and we have all of these amazing intricacies of our biology, of complex mechanisms, all of it brought on by blind evolution. They believe that law and moral cannot come, it's all subjective, arbitrary, whilst also simultaneously fighting for their laws to be objective without any grounds to lay their work on. The only point that remains is perhaps the agnostic. The agnostic is neutral in all points, but again, you have to remember, neutral countries or even neutral individuals have never really gained anything and are almost always playing the game, they just don't know it yet. All of this regard, you'll truly find in your religion that of Islam, it is only unique, and it's the only powerhouse and the only religion that has retained almost its complete form. Actually, it's retained its complete form ever since its inception of time itself and its revelation during the time of the Prophet, and it still remained the same. The same surahs that are recited today were the same surahs that are recited 1,400 years ago, whilst the Bible and any other scriptures have been revised, and each year a new edition is being edited and published out. Whilst Islam, you'll be corrected if you make a single typo or what they call as a harakat mistake if you are reading the Quran. So essentially is all it. So when you take all of these points into consideration, you realize that it is only Islam that trumps over almost all other religions. There is no atheist that can say that Islam is irrational, it is immoral, whilst having nothing to stand upon. You cannot claim something to be irrational based on your testimony of it. It has no proof, no evidence, and even if you could bring evidence, why would such an action be immoral? Who is the moral authority of such an action? Once you realize all of this, you realize they are nothing but strolls, delusions, illusions of grandeur, and illusions of control. They are nothing at all. So again, you have nothing to worry about. The thoughts that plague you right now will leave you. The anxiety you feel is an illusion presented to you by Shaytan himself. If you continue asking questions and find out more about your Deen, you realize that all you suffered was nothing more than just a fleeting point in your life. Essentially, you have nothing to worry about, and I suggest you continue seeking more of your Deen, and you will find you grow more and more fond of it and grow more into Deen. You are going through at this point in your life puberty of your Deen, you just don't know it yet. Jazakallah khairan for listening, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button.